Okay, we're also coming up on celebrating 50 years, or I guess we've been celebrating this whole year, celebrating 50 years in the ministry. So you have a unique perspective of having seen the church and the church operating and the successes of the church and the complications of the church 50 years ago and now. What are some of the great strides that you have seen in the church in 50 years?
Wow. You know, the main thing that I've been celebrating is how God is able to take flawed human beings that handle something as precious as the gospel. And we twist it, we turn it, we
manipulate it.
Yeah. And yet it still works.
Yeah.
You know, I look back at our ministry. I mean, my understanding of the gospel when we got started was Jesus died to save us from sin. Thank him and get busy and be a good boy. You know, be a good boy so that you'll have a good influence instead of a bad influence. And a good name is better to be chosen than great riches. I had a very limited view of the gospel. It was mostly the invitation at the end of a sermon. That was the gospel. No matter what you preached on, you came to the end and go, if you'll come to the altar and pray this prayer, you know, you can go to heaven. You know,
check your salvation box.
Yeah. And then worry about, was I sincere enough?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you come back next week too. I'm more sincere this week.
Cover all your bases.
Yeah. And then a year later, when you get older and you got more sins and more drives, you're like, oh my goodness.
I wasn't sincere then. I didn't know what I was saying. I didn't say it well enough.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
You keep on being baptized till every fish knows you by your first name. So anyway, that's what I've been thinking about. You know, it's like, wow, we still don't know how to handle it well, but it works. The gospel works. The Old Testament promises it. God promises it. What logic promises? God speaks, and when God speaks, something happens because His word produces. In the beginning, God spoke.
Right.
And all He had to do was say, be.
Yeah.
And here all this stuff happens.
Came into being. Yeah.
So anytime God speaks, creation, some kind of creative thing is going to happen. So when you preach the word, you proclaim the word, you preach it personally over a cup of coffee or behind a pulpit or wherever. When you preach the word, it's going to produce. And even if you twist it, and even if you didn't say it right, you know, I'm sure you've heard me tell the story about taking the kids out. One time I was doing this revival in a city, and I'd take the kids out to teach them how to share their faith. Yeah. And so I had taught them a system, you know, always, these are the scriptures you use, and here's how you make the presentation. And so we stopped at this guy's house, and I told him who I was, and that these were kids from the church, and that I was taking them out, and they were sharing their faith, and said, would you let us share with you just to practice? And so he said, well, sure, come on in. So we go in, and I told him, I'll do the first one, and then y'all do the rest of them. So I got my little audience here, and he's really listening, and so I'm telling him a new way that I'm trying. It was called 4 Spiritual Laws. I had never seen it before. So you start off with law number 1. God has a wonderful plan for your life. Law number 2, we've sinned and missed God's plan. And then I forgot law number 3. So I'm thinking, what was law number 3? And I'm stalling for time. So I'll go ahead and jump to law number 4. And right in the middle of law number 4, I remember law number 3. And I come back and add law number 3 in and then go to 4. And honestly, I didn't even understand it.
Garbled.
And so I was just sure, that's like, and I'm sure the kids are going, what is that? And so I looked at him honestly. I think I said something like, "You don't want to be saved, do you? Surely you don't want to trust Christ." And I said, Would you like to trust? Would you like to pray and ask you?" He went, "Son, I've been to church several times, and I've never understood the gospel. You made it so clear. Yes, I want to be saved." Then I started talking him out of it because it's like, there's no way it was clear. But it's just one of those times where God says, it's not you. It's not about you and your presentation and how pretty it was or clear it was or erudite or whatever. It's the power of, it's just the power of the Word. Mm-hmm. Thanks so much for listening to this. If you like it, and I hope you do, you could like it, share it, and subscribe. That's what you're supposed to do. And again, thank you for being a part. And it makes it fun for us to do, to know somebody's listening and you do that part. You know, the sad thing I've seen, Karis, over 50 years is, and I don't understand why we preachers keep looking for preaching material when we could be preaching the gospel. It's the only thing God says won't come back without doing what it was sent out to do. It is the only thing that he says is the power of God unto salvation. And I've been with preachers who just fret over, I don't know what I'm going to preach on Sunday, and they're trying to craft their sermons, and it's like, hey, just tell the story. Mm-hmm. And there are a million ways to tell it. I mean, every story in the Bible, you can use that as a groundwork for telling the story.
The story, the big story.
And so that's a sad part to me, is like we keep on preaching philosophy and preaching principles and preaching morals and preaching comfort and all of that, trying to be relevant to the consumer, when what the consumer is wanting and needing is an encounter with God that transforms them on the inside and causes them to want to do what God has commanded them to do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
that's good.
Have I seen a lot of good stuff? Yeah, a lot of good stuff, and we could talk about a lot of those. And if the Lord leaves me around a while, I'm looking for more. I really do believe that we're on the cusp of another move of God. The recent death of Charlie Kirk and all the publicity going around that gives me hope that there's being raised up a generation who will show up, stand up, and speak up.
Yeah.
And is it going to cause conflict? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But if you understand reality, you know that we were born into a war.
That's right.
The war was going on before we got here. It's naive to think that if a war is going on, it's not going to affect me in some way.
Yeah.
So I think people are learning that two things are really important. You are loved beyond your ability to believe, and you're hated vehemently by hell.
Both and at the same time.
At the same time. Mm-hmm. And you better know who's loving you and who's hating you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, you kind of just answered a question I was going to ask about what people always ask me, when is your dad going to retire? And
what do you tell him?
I tell him he's not. He's not going to retire. He's going to keep telling the story. He's going to keep preaching. He's going to keep supporting those who are telling the story, maybe even write another book.
Maybe so.
So yeah, I think you just said, as long as you're here, you're going to keep telling the story. And
yeah, I don't know how to retire. I don't know what that would mean for me, because as your mom used to say, you can't retire till you get a job. I've never seen what I do as a job.
Yeah.
Whether it's 8 to 5 or whatever, it's not a job. It's just what I do. Mm. And I guess retiring could mean I quit getting paid.
Well, that doesn't sound like a good idea.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you for modeling that. You know, you have done a good job of modeling that for me and for my children, my husband, our family, and all of those around us, of that this is not a job. This is who we are. We are called to tell the story and push back the darkness in every area of life that we're touching. And so you can't retire from that, because like you said, we're born into a war, but we're born into a war where we know that we win.
Yeah.
And so we get to participate in the pushing back of the darkness without having to worry or stress about whether or not I'm effective.
Yeah.
Because as you said, as if I say it, if I tell the story, the power's in the story, not in my presentation of it or in my oratory of it. The power is in the story. So
I think I'd be an aggravating retiree. I think.
I do too.
I mean, I think, I can just imagine me sitting down and watching everybody else. I'd be out there saying, no, that's not how you do it. Let me. So I'm not going to retire.
Yeah. Well, you've moved into a role of coach, and you do that well for the rest of us. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.